all of us single ladies out here love the Tartan Army. We're following it, not just myself, my colleague, my good friend Kimberly. I see you this morning, also a fan of the Tartan Army. It's been a great summer. I think the World Cup has been fantastic.
And my wife's been wearing the Paraguay jersey, Terrence, so we have a little bit of rivalry at home. But to see all those players with their hands over their hearts, no protest, no kneeling, just a sheer sense of unity, you can't do better than that.
It's wonderful. Well, remember to head on over to Rab's YouTube page right now for the special premiere of One Nation by Steve Gruber and the Freedom Project. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you, guys. We had a blast today. War Room is up next. Go boldly now.
This is the primal scream of a dying regime.
Pray for our enemies, because we're going medieval on these people. You're not got a free shot on all these networks lying about the people. The people have had a belly full of it. I know you don't like hearing that. I know you try to do everything in the world to stop that, but you're not going to stop it. It's going to happen.
And where do people like that go to share the big lie? MAGA media. I wish in my soul, I wish that any of these people had a conscience.
Ask yourself, what is my task and what is my purpose? If that answer is to save my country, this country will be saved.
War Room. Here's your host, Stephen K. Bannon.
Friday, 26 June, year of our Lord 2025. A little controversy about this, but today's 150 years. Some people argued yesterday, I argued today, of General Custer in the Battle of Little Bighorn. Peter Navarro, for the second day in a row, we got a major player from the administration. We had Ambassador Crowley yesterday for over an hour. We've got you today, and we're going to keep you as long as we can keep you. Thank you.
My buddy, the Admiral, I got to be. This is where it's happening now in the media. It's like a vortex. I got sucked into it. So let's see what happens.
Okay,
man.
We're going to talk. We got a lot of topics.
Oh, I almost said a bad word. We got a lot of stuff to talk about.
A lot of topics. By the way, 150 years ago, Little Bighorn. 2 years ago, we were both in prison, right? No, I was about to report, and you were there.
We never overlapped.
I thought we did. Yeah, we did.
Did we overlap a little
for
bit?
about 2 weeks, because you came to the Republican National Convention.
Yeah, then who was doing the show? It was like...
We wrote it. No, but then you came out. I got your paycheck, in fact, in the back. Okay, let's go to Texas. Brandon.
And it will always stay there.
Brandon Hall. I am shocked. I got Brandon Gill, Congressman Gill, put up a tweet overnight that said that the Battle of Lexington and Concord are not in the Texas school books. This is the fight we've had. We helped you guys get this massive turnout last Monday for the live testimony. I know you guys have been fighting. Please tell me that the great state of Texas is not taking out the beginnings of the War of Independence to mollify Muslims who want to tell us that the Alamo was created in an Islamic design architecture, sir.
That was extremely concerning, but I have good news to report, which is that we got the battles of Lexington and Concord added back in, so our students will once again learn about the great stories of the revolution that founded our country. So I'm excited about that, Steve.
Yeah, but here's what I'm not excited about. How is this even a controversy? You guys have worked on this. We won the preliminary battles a month ago. You come back for the final. You have a huge turnout. CARE in the Muslim organizations, and people have to understand there's a lot of Texas businessmen working with these people. But how do they even put up a front? My understanding is we're like 50-50 now of getting the good stuff in and the bad stuff out. And these textbooks, this fight under social studies is so important because it's going to basically drive the direction of, 20 states' textbooks for elementary school and for high school. Sir.
Well, the State Board of Education this week has been the premier battlefront in the fight to save Western civilization, the American Republic, and our Texan way of life, because as you know, this determines what's taught in the classroom for 5.5 million Texas students, and over 20 states will follow what we do here. So there could be no important battle. And just like Colonel Travis at the Alamo, we've been besieged this week and, at times outnumbered by the radical Islamists, by the Marxist historical revisionists. And then we've had Democrats who have proposed hundreds of amendments to erase the great things about our country and, introduce their critical race theory into our history. So we've had to hold the line. We've had to vote against them on every single amendment. And then, occasionally some of their amendments pass, which is, what happened with the Lexington and Concord situation. And so we've had to be here until 2:00 in the morning, multiple nights in a row, just fighting line by line with hundreds of amendments, trying to hold them back. And sometimes it can come down to, is one of our people in the bathroom? I mean, it's a real battle.
What about these? There's certain Republicans, though, are flipping and supporting the Islamists in rewriting Texas history and the history of the Republic, correct?
Well, there have been times where we've had Republicans come over and join Democrats for amendments. The Texas State Board of Education is 10-5 Republican. We have a supermajority. So if Republicans, stuck together, we would never lose a vote. But unfortunately, sometimes Republicans will cross over. Some of our more moderate members will cross over and vote for Democrat amendments. And so what we've really been trying to do is get them to hold the line and stand with the patriots.
Is today still the last votes? And what can the War Room and the War Room Posse do to confront this, to help you guys, to assist you, to augment you?
I'm about to step out and vote here probably within a matter of minutes, and we will take our final votes today. If you're watching this right now, pray for the Texas State Board of Education that we can finalize this and get this done. But I'm excited for a great victory. Just like at the Battle of San Jacinto, we're going to pass today a great literary works list that brings our classics back and brings the Bible back into Texas schools for the first time in 60 years. And we're also going to pass terrific K-8 social studies standards. We were able to do great work there, teach about the founding of the country, this American exceptionalism and our great heroes throughout history. So I am very confident in those standards. And it looks like our high school courses, they are going to be delayed. So we're going to have to come back and take another bite at them. But just the literary works list that we're going to pass and the social studies standards K-8 is a huge victory.
But we're going to come back. We're going to make sure they're not going to approve textbooks for the high school kids that has got all this hate America that these radical Marxist jihadist Democrats and these gutless turncoat Republicans are supporting. In other words, we're not going to leave here today and there's going to be any question. We're going to get to the high school textbooks later.
Yeah, that's right. There's no question. We're coming back at this. We will never let that happen. This week, we've had CARE has come in, the Foreign Terrorist Organization. People have put tremendous pressure on this board not to do the right thing. And they're going to put tremendous pressure for us just to keep delaying this and never come back and do it. But Steve, I will tell you, I will not let that happen. And I think the conservatives on the board won't let that happen. We will come back and we will get this done.
Brother, you and Julie Pickering and the rest we've got your back. I want to get you back up here at 5 o'clock. We're going to go through all of it. So Brandon, where do people get you? What's your social media? And where do people go that want to have a blow-by-blow on this historic fight that you're having in Texas?
Follow me on X at Brandon Hall TX, Brandon Hall TX. And Steve, I just want to thank you in the War Room. A lot of the victories that we've had have been, thanks to you in the War Room and the great patriots of Texas speaking up, and we didn't let this fight get away from us. So thank you so much for having me.
Look, it's the least we can do. You do the hard work. We just was yelling back of a microphone. Love you guys. Keep fighting today. We'll check in with you this afternoon.
God bless.
John Bolton, we just keep our eye on that. John Bolton's supposed to be in court to plead today. He's got potentially 180 years in prison, right? 10 counts, 18 counts of 10 years apiece. He's already pled guilty to one. I don't know why they did that. And it's $2.5 million. We don't care about the money. He'll get all of his overseas clients, including AIPAC and the Israelis, to pay for it because he's a spokesman for that crap. But I want to know how many years in prison he gets for this, because there was a lot of classified information. He took it out. He broke the law. We got Bolton's a guy on the target list and a traitor to the country. We shouldn't let him. So soon we know that. Also, we're going to have mail-in ballots, and we should today mail-in ballots and birthright citizenship. So we can always tell when it heats up the Supreme Court, when they start up-armoring here with the Federal Protective Services. Yesterday, a couple of victories. Peter Navarro.
So the new book, from the melting pot to the meltdown pot, right?
Exactly.
I thought.
Yeah.
Didn't they tell us, Steve? Well, all we were doing was importing cheap labor. Wasn't that what we were doing?
Well, no, they did tell us
the culture, the religion, the this, the that. They're pretty much this whole replacement theory is like bogus.
America's an idea.
Yeah,
America's not an idea. It's a sovereign nation with borders and a people and a culture.
It's outrageous, man.
Dude,
it's like outrageous.
Brother, we're in hand-to-hand combat in Texas at the State Board of Education. Yeah. We launched, the great young Congressman Brandon Gill put up last night. He's got a picture of like Lexington and the Battle of Lexington, some great work of art. I think it's Turnbull or somebody. He's got a big red X to it. That as of last night, the battles of Lexington and Concord were out. And they're talking about how great Islam is and what a great thing it's done for the world.
I mean, like Talib, right? Or Omar. It's like, how do you get those people? Well, you get them because you let the open border come in, you bring in people, you put them there, they gather together, and then they create their own sovereign state to basically rip off America.
I'm not worried about Talib. I mean, I'm not as worried about Talib as I've argued in New York City. The Democrat, it's this Marxist jihadists, and they just won these elections. Now, they didn't have a huge turnout, but the people that turned out voted for it.
That's remarkable, Steve. I remember, like, when I was in electoral politics back when, I don't know if War Room knows, I ran for mayor, right? Like
as a left-wing populist.
I'm on a roll here. Let me do this. It's like I got, like, I don't know, 250,000 votes or something like that. And then Bob Filner's like the congressman from the 8th district in San Diego, right? He goes to Congress with like 14,000 votes because nobody votes in the damn thing. I mean, if you look at how many people are actually voting in that election, and you got all the New Yorkers clutching their pearls, why don't they friggin' go to the polls?
Can't be bothered.
I mean, if the Jewish people in New York voted, you can't imagine that they'd be putting those folks in
incorrect.
Place.
They voted for Mondami.
You think so?
The young progressives.
Well, Mondami, yes, but it's
they voted for these. The key issue was Zionism, and these young progressive Jewish people vote against Israel.
Oh, by the way, New York City I went to the mall yesterday to kind of look at all things. They gave New York City one. You go in there and they had like Kleenexes that were American flags, right, in honor of that woman who got elected, right. Making a joke here.
It's okay. Got it.
Look at him. He's like, no, you saw that.
Go on.
The woman, like, she uses the American flag.
No, it's terrible.
Yeah. So.
Well, we had Zero on the other day, and Zero's
meltdown pot.
Zero repeated like it was a joke of a comedian, and he's saying it serious. And I go, hang on, Mondami's going to read the names this year of the pilots, and I go, what? Hangovers. I go, what? I haven't heard that. I haven't seen it. Turns out Zero's repeating a joke. But it's very serious. As Texas goes, so goes the nation. That's why we've been spending so much time focused on Texas.
Very concerning.
Very concerning. So talk to me.
Nobody's talking about it except you. It's like the mainstream legacy left wing whatever media.
Forget the left wing media. I'm talking about left wing media. I'm talking about Fox News.
Yeah, I'm talking legacy media.
Left wing. You're talking about left wing media.
I said legacy and left.
You're a big star over there. With our girl Maria, who's fantastic.
She's tenacious.
Let's talk. Okay, I want to talk about why I've got you because you never know where you're going to go. Well, this serious.
I mean,
I want to talk about
like serious stuff going on in this country right now.
Tell me about the economy.
So, let's.
I want to go to the thing you did in Real Clear Markets.
Okay, so what I'm doing now.
7 things you should think about.
This is like back to my future. Like when I was kind of working in academia and CNBC and all that stuff like that. My bag was every month there's economic indicators that come out, right? It's the CPI, the PPI, durable goods, GDP, all that stuff, right? And the whole conceit there is if you watch the indicators, it'll help you kind of figure out what the financial market's going. And so there's a synergy between stock market investing, bond market investing, and the indicators. So I got steeped in that. So what I'm doing now is every time there's important indicators coming out, I do a little piece for Real Clear Markets and get it out there. And what's stunning me, Steve, is like the narrative right now is there's inflation, therefore there must be Fed rate hikes, okay? There's inflation, therefore there must be Fed rate hikes. But what people don't understand. Well, I don't know if they understand it or not, but the media is shoving it down our throat. Here's the thing. You have to distinguish between the kind of demand pull inflation that we had when Biden was just running bills in.
Explain to the audience that are not Harvard-trained economists. What is demand pull inflation?
Demand pull is the idea of too much money chasing too few goods. So when Biden's doing all these fiscal stimulus bills
and printing cash,
and the Fed is accommodating that, right? You're just blowing cash in, and that's creating demand pull inflation, right? Okay. And so in order to pull that in,
hang on one second. Let's just go to break. Birch Gold, in commemoration of the 250th anniversary of the birth of the nation, has a special. If you go to text Bannon, B-A-N-N-O-N at 989898, talk to Philip Patrick. Philip was going to be here today. He was going to come in right after Dr. Navarro. I had this whole thing set up, right? But he's traveling in Europe. Hopefully will join us tomorrow, my beloved Saturday show. 989898. Get to Philip Patrick and the team. They have a special. With a qualifying purchase, and you have to talk to him about what that is, you get a free 1-ounce silver round, not a coin, a round. Check it out today.
Hi, I'm Ben Cozy. Isn't traveling a pain in the neck? You're cramped, uncomfortable, and forget about
Running on empty, brain fog, can't focus, and those sugar-loaded energy drinks? Sure, they spike you fast, then crash you hard. Fix it with Soldier Fuel, the official energy drink of real America's voice. Soldier Fuel was born in the military to solve a real problem. Troops were relying on sugary drinks that wreck performance, so they built a better option. Zero sugar and steady energy, powered by caffeine, taurine, inositol, and extra B vitamins for clean energy and focus. No roller coaster crash. This isn't gas station hype. Soldier Fuel was built alongside the U.S. military and proven where it counts. Used by American soldiers and elite special operations.
This is really good.
And when you fuel up, you give back. 15% of profits go to pro-military charities. Scan the QR code, search for Soldier Fuel on Amazon, or go to buysoldierfuel.com and get an automatic 15% off your entire order.
Hey folks, it's your friend John Rich. I co-founded Old Glory Bank because we heard too many stories about people getting canceled by their bank because they didn't agree with their politics. The government wanted to know where you shopped. If you bought a Bible or you shopped at a sporting goods store, you're probably on a list. We created Old Glory Bank because America needed a bank that would protect their privacy and security. Exercising your constitutional rights is not a criminal activity, and neither is loving your country. At Old Glory Bank, we stand with you.
I'm a J6er. I spent 1,143 days in prison.
About a year in prison.
We were prosecuted, persecuted.
J6ers have been treated like terrorists.
And we need your help.
Stand in the Gap was founded to stand in the gap for J6ers working to rebuild their lives after being incarcerated.
For just $10 or more, you can help these patriots get back on their feet again. Every dollar you give is being matched up to $50,000. Go now to j6support.com and donate today.
My name is Phoebe, and I live in Florida. I love Real America's Voice. They truly speak for the people, and that's what real patriotism is all about.
Hi, this is Chris from colorful Colorado. I'm drawbridge in the Getter Chat. I trust no one for my news except Real America's Voice. So if anyone asks, I was never here.
I'm Terry from New Jersey, and I just want to say that I love Real America's Voice. I love you guys. Keep up the good work.
Okay, thanks. We're back. Okay, pull inflation. I want our audience must understand where we are. And audience trust you, right? You were my co-host. You were one of the biggest contributors. By the way, we didn't have a bad run of contributors. And you, Vote, Besant, Monica. I mean, we've had a pretty good run. Not bad. Had a pretty good run. Not bad. So come on, tell us what's going on. Because people are sitting there going, the rent's too damn high. The food's too damn high. I don't want to hear any happy
There's no
talk.
question that's true. That's all that's true. But here's the question. Should the Fed raise interest rates based on the economic data? And my claim is that if the Fed raises interest rates, that will guarantee a recession, and it won't really cure any kind of problem at all. And what you have to do is distinguish between two kinds of inflation. The normal kind is demand pull, too much money chasing too few goods. It's when you get fiscal stimuluses that drive us into debt. You get both inflation and growth with demand pull inflation, both inflation and growth. So a Fed rate hike makes sense to rein in the inflation by reining in the growth. Okay? Now, that's not what we have here. What we have here is a classic energy price shock like we had, for example, in the 1970s stagflation era, like we had in the 1990s.
Full stop. You're getting ahead of us here.
Stagflation.
Hang on. You're getting ahead of us. I got to understand this. So, I got the energy shock. That started, and I'm gonna pick a random date, February 28th of this year. Okay, you and I want to go back. Yeah. You and Besant and Russ and the whole team, Hassett, you had a plan, supply side growth, etc. The president, it was working, but on the growth side was working. We still had what they call affordability. There were still some inflation issues. You agree before the 28th of February.
For example, beef, which is a really difficult problem.
But why was that still the demand pull?
But everything was, look, everything was coming down, trending nicely. The core was trending down nicely. It was going to hit 2. Life was going to be good. But the problem.
Besant said, I'm going to get back to the Fed's target of 2. We're going to get there. I can see that in the summer or early fall, but the glide slope, we're on the glide slope, correct?
No question.
Then comes February 28th.
Yes, and then you get the energy rate. But let me lay the groundwork, lay the predicate. Did
you geniuses over there think about the issue of the demand of the supply side, the shock that was about to come?
Of course. Look, but demand pull gets you inflation and growth. Fed hike works because it brings down inflation, and therefore it brings down growth because it basically induces slower growth. Because stagflation, you get the inflation, but you also get the recession, because when people are paying more for gasoline, they're not buying stuff in the economy.
And you were the first one to call stagflation back in the Biden years when Biden first did it. And you had the inflation thing right, where Krugman and all these other geniuses had it wrong, correct?
Correct. And so in this case, what history tells us, going back to Greenspan, Kuwait War, 90s, oil price shock, Bernanke, Iran, oil price shock, 2006, you do not raise rates into an oil price shock, because you will just make things worse. You don't make things better. So that's where we are. So what I'm looking at the data. Let me tell you what the data says.
Hang on for a second before you talk to the data. Why are we having this conversation at all? Because Warsh, under no circumstance will Warsh raise rates, right?
Look, that first meeting was not meeting my expectations.
Okay, tell me why.
That was way hawkish.
Okay, fine.
Okay, now you could argue that he wasn't the hawk, because, but when you published all those dot plots,
he's like going into Saigon in 1968. The Viet Cong is all around him. You've got Powell and his minions are on the board, including the ones that we tried to turf out and haven't turfed out yet from cheating on the mortgages. Talk to people about why it was more hawkish, because this is what I want the audience to understand. What Warsh is walking into, because this is emblematic of every institution. What Pulte see in the DNI, what people see in the Department of War, the town is run by a permanent government we call the deep state. You have a financial deep state, and this is why my point is it's so far gone. You got to go back to Andrew Jackson, get rid of the central bank. But
given that this is General Custer's day, you could kind of liken Warsh to walking into that and at least risking that.
We'll talk about it.
So you got 7 people, including Warsh, that will vote on Fed policies. Rate hike, stay the same, cut, right? 4 of them are Biden appointees.
Hang on, full stop.
What do you got?
Breaking news. Former National Security Advisor John Bolton pleaded guilty in federal court on Friday to the one count of retaining national security information related to his tenure during the first Trump administration. Bolton has served as National Security Advisor. Bolton faces a prison sentence of up to 60 months and has agreed to pay a $2.2 million fine. But what did the judge rule?
Potentially sentencing is the 20th October.
He just pled guilty. They're going to sentence later. Then we have months. God, the first time my producers ever talked on the show. His name is. He lives at no. So he gets So we have our work to do between now and October to make sure he gets 60 months. I don't think John Bolton will handle prison well.
Well, you and I both know some of the guys that were in there did far less than John Bolton did, and they're serving far more time than he might even get. So
the fine is nothing. The fine is nothing.
As it may.
Okay, go back.
So we're back to Warsh in a hostile environment.
Did you go to prison, by the way?
Are we going there?
Some of us.
Are you going there, man?
Some of us. Some of us went to prison. Others went to. How did your backhand improve?
Hey, whatever this guy says, all you got to know is that there's more danger in a dorm with 50 guys that can kill you than having his little cellie in there that he paid off.
Hold it. I will say.
Are you going there?
I will
really?
say the following: you went to a camp. But it was probably more dangerous than the Danbury Federal Prison.
Yeah.
Like those camps can get a little dicey. If you get the bad draw, and you got a bad draw.
Camp is known for bad draws.
Bad hombres.
Yes, bad hombres.
Okay, keep going. Talk about
why are those drones flying overhead? What are they? Every day they're dropping shit down, man.
Folks, like in Danbury. No. It's the way they get the drugs and the phones in. I said, what are these things? Drones? Oh, it's like the daily drop.
The stuff. There's certain things that I'll never talk about that I saw in there for good reason, but it's prison. It's prison. But speaking of prison,
let's talk about
Kevin Warsh.
Kevin Warsh.
So he's got 4 out of the 7 that are Biden people who hate us. Waller is a 5th that was a Trump appointee or maybe a Bush appointee, but he's in the same ilk. He's not a Trump guy. And so Warsh has historically been a hawk on inflation.
These people have Trump derangement syndrome.
But here's what he did, which set the table. These things called dot plots.
Yeah.
Okay, he wants to get rid of them, but he didn't. What he did was he published each person's dot plot.
What's a dot plot? Explain to the audience.
So I say to you, Steve.
What's a dot plot?
Steve, draw the dots for what interest rates are going to look like over the next 4
Based
quarters.
on your analytical, you do that, but it comes out, it's manifested in dots.
And you do it independent of the other people, and then you compare the dot plots, and that gives Wall Street a chance to make even more money on poly markets. So he published the dot plots, and all the dot plots that he published said Fed rate hikes by the end of the year. Okay? Very hawkish. Okay? And to be clear, the markets did not react well to that. So he publishes these dot plots, and then he doesn't say anything about the dot plots that would be contradictory to the dot plots, and off he goes. I mean, look, I wish him well. I hope that he will do what he promised.
Don't be wishing him well. The guy is at Fort Apache. What people don't understand, this goes back to why we are burning daylight, and you got to take on the deep state, or the whole Trump revolution is going to be meaningless. And taking on the deep state, there's a deep state financially that is controlled by the lords of easy money on Wall Street.
But you see, he could have said the same thing I'm saying, which is to say, you know what, this is an energy price shock. When my predecessor, Alan Greenspan, had the same problem when the Kuwait War broke out. He didn't raise interest rates.
92, 91, 91,
yeah. And then when Ben Bernanke had the same problem in 06, and you know what the parallels are there, Steve? This is like scary stuff. It's like in 2006, we had oil prices spiking. Why? Because Iran was making all sorts of noises about refusing to back down on nuclear weapons. They had Ahmadinejad, you remember that?
Remember him.
Crazy man, talking literally about burying the state of Israel, and they seized a British boat in the Strait of Hormuz and imprisoned like 16 British sailors, right? And like that was in what? 06, 20 years ago. They're still pulling the same crap. But the point is that when Bernanke saw that, he didn't raise interest rates either because it's stagflation. It's an energy price shock. You don't do that. Stagflation is the worst. You get the inflation and you get the recession when you have an oil price shock. So you don't pile on. Now, Kevin Warsh could have pointed out the same thing I'm pointing out there. Instead, all he did was publish the dot plots and leave Wall Street with the impression that somehow we should raise rates.
If this is mind-numbingly complex, go to birchgold.com. End of the dollar empire. We lay it all out for you, the history of populism in the United States and what it means for the U.S. dollar. The dollar is the back of everything. Given Bretton Woods, you understand it's very accessible. Taught now in graduate courses in major state universities around the country. I shouldn't say around the country, in a couple state universities, but important. Birchgold.com.
I would say between the two coasts.
Between the two coasts. Birchgold.com, promo code Bannon, or no, /Bannon. I got that right, no, /Bannon. Go check it out today. Talk to Philip Patrick and team. We're trying to get Philip on here tomorrow. He was going to follow Dr. Navarro, but sometimes it doesn't always work out. Back in a moment.
I'd like to say this is the first.
Fatherhood is under attack in America. 1 in 4 kids is growing up without a father. We've replaced fathers with bureaucrats, and the results are a disaster for our kids and our country. I'm John Popola, host of Dad Saves America and CEO of Emergent Order Foundation. I like to say Emergent Order Foundation is what it would look like if Warner Brothers and PBS had a baby that actually loved America. We're a studio on a mission to defend the family and to call men back to the responsibility, strength, and sacrifice that fatherhood demands. The family is the last line of defense against a radical agenda that wants to rewrite everything from truth and tradition to gender and God. We're raising a new generation of men, not victims, not activists, but fathers and protectors. Join the mission, support the movement. Visit dsa-rav.com today to take a stand for fatherhood and the American family.
Hi, my name is Tracy L. from Arizona. I don't stink around in the kitchen when it comes to the news. I watch Real America's Voice, which always serves accurate and reliable updates that are on point with their amazing hosts. So don't find yourself in a pickle by tuning into the fake news. Stick with Real America's Voice.
This is Tim King, also known as USS Malik, and I love Real America's Voices for its like-minded programming and the chat. Love you guys.
Florida Sun Goddess here. Let me tell you why I love RAV. They let my voice be heard. They give me a platform for community so I don't feel alone. Thanks so much. God bless.
Hi, I'm Bridgie. And why do I love RAV? Well, even out here in the cornfields of Iowa, I still need news I can depend on. That is Real America's Voice.
Also, on Medicare, we have a data company, Chapter. Totally free, no obligation. 845-WARM. You get your own special hotline. The feedback from the posse has been extraordinary. The team that set it up all came out of some of the top data companies in the world. Total free consultation, no obligation. They work through what is the optimal Medicare plan for you. If you've done it on your own or with a consultant, it's mind-numbingly complicated. You don't have to write it down, Dr. Navarro. I'm gonna get you a VIP. Navarro's over there right now. 845 Wharf 845 Wharf. That's okay. I'm gonna get you VIP. Are you eligible for Medicare? Are you that old yet?
I got an earphone in here, basically.
845 Wharf.
President Trump's playlist, and the other is
845.
To mine.
845 War Room. Call today. Colby and the team. I'll get you a special setup. I'm gonna hook you up.
Got a podcast going in here.
Hey, I know a guy. Stay with me now. You get
too good,
Bonnie. You got it. This guy will drift on you. Okay, so drift on me. Don't drift on me. Let's get back to numbers.
Yes,
you're the numbers guy. Talk to me about where we. I understand about the Fed and not raising rates, and I didn't get a warm fuzzy coming out of that meeting. Not just the bad guys, but Warsha's always been a hawk, which is not. There's something. I'm kind of a hawk too, but in this situation, I think it's throwing gasoline on the fire.
Well,
now,
look, to be clear, what you want to be a hawk about is like William McChesney Martin, my favorite Fed chair, back with LBJ. It's like the guns versus butter stuff. Like LBJ wanted to fight a war, but he wanted to just keep doing the Great Society, and so he had a big fight.
But Martin didn't stop him.
Martin, hell, he didn't.
How?
He wouldn't loosen up the money and accommodate everything, and so LBJ had to put the surcharge on and yada, yada, yada. And that helped trigger the problems in the 70s because LBJ held back. But let me give you
Martin didn't do enough because that's what made Nixon. Nixon and these whack jobs got us off the gold standard. Everything's bad in life in the United States.
Is that.
It goes back to 1971.
You should write a series about that.
They did it over a weekend. The end of the dollar empire. Thank you.
Am I good?
You're good. You're good. You still remember. I take it back, Bonnie. He's still got his fastball. Every now and again it comes through.
So let me get a little hope here.
Please.
Because, look, the fundamentals of Trump policy are extraordinarily good for growth. What we're in now is something like the 90s, where we have a secular technological trend that is going to push productivity significantly, and that's going to help. And there's all associated investment. But more importantly,
productivity is going to have humans involved.
There is a big problem with that, and I'm getting to that. I'm getting to that, my brother. Which is why we got to keep that border closed and deport, I don't know what.
This reminds me, by the way, in the Roosevelt.
I used to interrupt you. We're shifting roles here, brother.
We had all the fights with Gary Cohen and Steve Mnuchin. They would get so nasty in the Oval that the president would say, "Hey guys, fellas, can you take it out and go? You just open the Oval and right across the hall is the Roosevelt Room." We go in some of the most brutal, nasty
did that
knockdowns.
Once. I remember that. Yeah,
because it got too heated.
He'll settle it. Yeah.
No, because in these huge fights around the Roosevelt desk, all of a sudden Navarro would pull up a chart. These huge charts. I'm going, what the hell is this? And the huge chart would make a case for his position. And President Trump loved the charts. He goes, "See, that's what we're doing." And Mnuchin and Cohen and the globalist heads would blow up.
Head would explode.
Okay.
But look, we've got the technology giving us growth and productivity help. We've got the tariffs, which are the big wall to protect Americans from the unfair trade, which is attracting all sorts of investment. And we're seeing that happen in real time, where we start with a surge in construction jobs because you got to build the factories first. And then once you do that, you get the manufacturing. So we're seeing all of that in the data. Surge in construction. Last 5 months, all of the manufacturing trends have been up. So that's all good. And contributing to that has been the big, beautiful bill provision for 100% expensing when you build a factory here and you manufacture here. So all of that's showing up in the data. Now, we got to be really careful here. It's like we're having good growth, but we're not having great growth, partly because the Fed didn't lower interest rates, and now because we got the headwinds from Iran. And this is going to be a cautionary time. But the best thing we got going for us is the strategic energy dominance on top of all that. Steve, do you know how much we produce more than Saudi Arabia and Russia combined? I mean, I can't even wrap my head around that, because the first time I had a job in Washington was about a mile from here at the Department of Energy, and I was the guy studying how were you going to get off foreign oil, and I never dreamed that there would be this thing called fracking. So it's going to be tough. I think that the messaging, we just got to keep talking about the economy, and that's kind of what I try to do every day with these videos and parsing.
Let me just go
data.
back and ask so people can understand this. The whole purpose of both the tariffs and the big beautiful bill on the supply side was to return high value added manufacturing jobs to the United States. So once again,
and mid-value,
but we became, the John Gardners of the world with the 50, the 5 employees, 20 employees. That's the key to it.
There's low-value stuff you need too that are part of the supply chain.
I got it.
It's not just about jobs here. That's economic security. National security is the offshore, non-resilient supply chains that we got to bring back. Go ahead, sir.
No, but are we making progress? Are manufacturing jobs in your data still coming back?
Last 5 months, ISM Manufacturing Index, which is my holy grail when it comes to that.
What is that? Explain to the audience what that is.
The ISM Manufacturing Index is a 0 to 100, what they call a diffusion index. If it's over 50, it means the economy is expanding in the manufacturing sector.
Yes.
If it's under, it means it's in recession.
We had a lot of under 50s under Biden.
And it has things like it's like counterintuitive. Like one of it's got something like 10 indicators. And it's like one of the indicators is what's the length of time it takes to get a delivery, okay? And they get all the purchasing managers around the world. Yeah. So it's if it's a longer time.
Is it above 50?
If it's a longer time, that means that things are good because it's taking longer to get the stuff. They've got an employment part, they got a pricing.
It's ISM above 50 right now.
Yes, and for the last 5 months, it finally got above 50 5 months ago. It hadn't been above 50 since August of 2022 in the Biden years. So think about that, Steve. We got the demand pull inflation, just fiscal irresponsibility. They're throwing all sorts of money, but we're not making stuff, right? So it took until 5 months ago. It took a year of the Trump administration to crank stuff up.
You're the trade czar. Make the case right now to the Warren posse that the tariffs have been. I just heard Ossoff the other night, the guy in Georgia, who's very impressive the way he's running, but he comes out in a litany of bad things. He goes, Trump is pro-tariff. Now this is a left-wing Democrat, supposed to be a populist. He says Trump's pro-tariff. The tariffs hurt working people. Make the case right now where we are in tariffs.
The central thrust of theirs is tariffs cause inflation, but they don't. And we know that from the first term. The whole argument is very simple. It's like if China or Germany or Japan or Korea are exporting a ton of stuff to us and their economies heavily depend on that growth, the last thing they're going to do is simply raise their own prices when we slap the tariff on them. This is what we call a tax incidence question, right? And in tariff land, it's which country bears the burden. So we learned in the first term that tariffs don't cause inflation. Why? Because we put on a bunch of tariffs and there was no inflation. And it was like, no, they're going to eat it. So what Ossoff is doing is conflating the inflation we're seeing, for example, from the energy price shock, because prices were coming down. Let's not remember that until the war broke out. Core and non-core were going steadily down and approaching
the war didn't break out. Okay, let's be honest. It wasn't like Pearl Harbor. That's a topic for another day.
Did I say break out?
You guys said war broke out. Until the war. Okay, hold it. Let's go back. You had Besant, and he says it all the time.
Yeah,
the inflation was coming down to around 2.
Yeah,
which is and you started to have the growth. We starting to get traction.
Yeah,
make the argument again for people. Where are the component pieces of Trumponomics is full spectrum energy dominance.
It's the regulatory burden. Okay, deregulation.
Deconstruct the administrative state.
Right. It's the tax cuts. It's
the supply side tax cuts. The big beautiful bill.
Yes.
I got 2.
It's the tariffs.
I got 3.
For fair trade.
Yep.
And it's strategic energy dominance.
Okay.
And all of those.
All 4 of those.
All of those.
Get me back to 2019.
Virtuous.
Virtuous. I get in a virtuous circle.
They're the mirror image, right? The anti-stagflationary shock. They're positive supply side stimulus. And when you get positive supply side stimulus, you get deflation and you get growth. Okay. And I don't mean deflation in a bad way. I mean, it's like you can go forward. That was the mistake Powell made in the first term. We started to go and grow strong. We're going 2%. We're getting over that. Remember, the Obama years was like the new normal was 1% growth.
Exactly, yep. We
start getting into 2, getting over 2. Powell's going
under 3% growth. The model doesn't work, right? You're going to continue to have high unemployment. It's going to be terrible.
Under 3% GDP growth, you're not going to be able to pay down your national debt, and that creates all problems in and of itself. But the point, Steve, is Powell saw us getting above 2.
This is why I said the model doesn't work.
He freaked. I mean, he like, no, we got to raise rates. I mean, what are you doing, Jay Powell?
He was supporting. He's Trump derangements.
Yeah, I know. It's just don't get me started on that.
Trying to help Biden.
I mean, the Fed. Okay. It's just they say it's got to be independent. They say it shouldn't be political. They're so political and so dependent on politics. This is like the worst Fed I think I've seen ever in that sense, because they're dealing with very significant problems in it.
I don't want to answer. I'm not going to ask you questions that are going to get you in trouble. So I'm not going to answer. I'm not going to. No, I'm not going to do that. But I'm saying one of the many efforts we're leading here in the war room, like we got enough, is to go back to General Jackson. Between 1836, the destruction of the second bank of the United States, because remember Hamilton had the first. In 1913 or 1915, when the Federal Reserve was created on Jekyll Island, all of it, the income tax, all of it, and we went off tariffs, the greatest explosion in growth in any country in the history of the world. Now, it did coincide with the Industrial Revolution, but the great heroes of that time understood that and took advantage of it. What we need, you got to get the central bank out of the way. If you got a big central bank that control things, the lords of easy money on Wall Street control from the south. So I'm not going to put that question to you because I don't want to get you.
Let me just
hang on. Wait for the break. Wait for the. We got 30 seconds. My paycheck. So I've got this thing, and I'm so excited. No, I'm so excited about this though. Preparewithbannon.com. My Patriot Supply has given us our own site, our own landing page. We got a special up there, $100 off the 3-month emergency food supply, but there's so much more, and we're going to flood the zone with information, etc., like we do at Birchhold. Preparewithbannon.com. Go check it out, and check it out today. Short break. Navarro's still here.
Do you suffer in pain? Are you stiff and less flexible? Do you have
Fatherhood is under attack in America. 1 in 4 kids is growing up without a father. We've replaced fathers with bureaucrats, and the results are a disaster for our kids and our country. I'm John Popola, host of Dad Saves America and CEO of Emergent Order Foundation. I like to say Emergent Order Foundation is what it would look like if Warner Brothers and PBS had a baby that actually loved America. We're a studio on a mission to defend the family and to call men back to the responsibility, strength, and sacrifice that fatherhood demands. The family is the last line of defense against a radical agenda that wants to rewrite everything from truth and tradition to gender and God. We're raising a new generation of men, not victims, not activists, but fathers and protectors. Join the mission, support the movement. Visit dsa-rav.com today to take a stand for fatherhood and the American family.
Hi, my name is Tracy L. from Arizona. I don't stink. around in the kitchen when it comes to the news. I watch Real America's Voice, which always serves accurate and reliable updates that are on point with their amazing hosts. So don't find yourself in a pickle by tuning into the fake news. Stick with Real America's Voice.
This is Tim King, also known as USS Malik, and I love Real America's Voices for its like-minded programming and the chat. Love you guys.
Florida Sun Goddess here. Let me tell you why I love RAV. They let my voice be heard. They give me a platform for community so I don't feel alone. Thanks so much. God bless.
Hi, I'm Bridgie. And why do I love RAV? Well, even out here in the cornfields of Iowa, I still need news I can depend on. That is Real America's Voice.
They said you got to get back to work. You're only getting paid for half a day. Okay.
This is work.
No. Okay.
This is called messaging our economic plan, Steve, because nobody else will in the press.
The war room engine room, which is a group of people that kind of help us with the show, and they said nailing down Navarro is harder than Mercury, and they didn't mean Mercury in retrograde. So hang on. Rare earths. You're the guy, lead guy with the president of Rare Earths. You and Jameson Greer thing. What are we doing?
This is okay. So, communist China. Let's be clear about that. Decides to weaponize rare earths and magnets. Now, why does that matter? Because they're in virtually everything: cars, F-35s, just everything our society operates on. They need magnets. And what China did with its predatory model is go in and basically buy off all the factories of the world, dump in, and they control the whole
corrupt
thing.
The elites,
Okay.
elite capture.
So what we've been doing in warp speed is addressing that problem.
Warp
and
speed's a bad
I'm happy
phrase
to
around here, but
report
keep
here
going.
that what communist China has done to weaponize rare earths and many other things at this point has been a favor to us in the world, because it explains exactly who those people are and what they're willing to do and what their agenda is. And here's how we're beating them, okay? The rare earth process, Steve, is incredibly environmentally destructive the way traditional technology does it. I mean, you gotta like take mountains of dirt and run it through like all sorts of nasty chemicals to start. Okay. So what we're doing is using new technology. And there's two companies that we have working, two small ones working with a big company. ReElements over at the beginning has an innovative process that's able to take both material from mines and recycled material and turn it into what's called oxides. And it's the oxides then that Vulcan uses to make magnets, okay? And the punchline is...
Magnets is where they had us.
That process is like the fracking for critical minerals. It's the same kind of innovation that could lead us to strategic critical minerals dominance. It's very kind to the environment. It's small spaces instead of big spaces to do it. And it's fast, it's cheap, and we've got hundreds of companies out there. We're going to use innovation to beat them, and we're going to have to do that across the chain.
How long before the leverage goes away? A couple of years?
You know, germanium, okay? By Q3 of this year, one company, ReElements, is going to have enough capacity to produce 3 times domestic demand here.
Amen.
Think about that.
So then we help our
3
allies.
times. Okay, so this is where things are headed. I'll come back and talk more about it. The other thing I want to come back for a whole show on is what we're doing on the border, establishing what I call the detective border with AI.
Okay.
It's like
I'd rather
groundbreaking,
have it with border guards. That's okay. Hang on, because I'm a humans first guy. Hang on for 1 second. Take your number 2 principle out. I want you to write this down. Ancient civilizations like China and Persia that are still around and still kind of hold their thing, they're pretty savvy and they're pretty tough and they know leverage. So the Straits of Hormuz are no different than rare earths. Anything these people ever have, and what's happened, and this is what President Trump has done, the forcing function to kind of let's get it on the table. The American elites and establishment went along for years. This rare earth thing on Breitbart Radio, I'd have Eric Prince on here when they were going to shut down the Japanese, when they shut off Japanese because they had in the East China Sea, they had this incursion of Chinese fishing boats are all spy boats. The Japanese cleared them out. Next thing you know, hey, suck on this, no rare earths. That was back, I think in 14.
Yeah.
And I had Eric Prince come on there.
Crouching Tiger book.
Yes, which you're still the best guy on China. Our fight going forward is that they're still going to look for they're not our allies. The CCP's not our allies and the Persians are not our allies. Our allies are bad enough. They're trying to take advantage of us by working around the sanctions.
Let me tell you this. They just passed 3 new rules in China, basically, that give them the power to basically do anything they want to an American company operating in China if the American company does something they don't like. Do you know this?
Yes. This is why I say you can't. It's uninvestable.
It's outrageous.
It's not outrageous. It's what they do.
Well, we're responding to this.
I wouldn't mind having that law. I wouldn't mind having that law here in the United States of America against all these foreign countries. Just saying, they're nationalistic. You come in there, first of all, you got to do it in a joint venture, as you know. They'll shut you down the second they steal your intellectual property. They just take it. They run the deal like they run the deal, and you can't. And this is why it's uninvestable.
The beauty of this, Steve, is that now the world finally sees that. Okay, companies in China. I would wager to say
the world cares?
that 99% of the companies.
Do you think the world cares
about
Wall Street? Still, what do you mean? They're banging on the door to get more money.
Like American companies in China are no longer doing additional investment there.
Why did 50 guys go on the tech bros? The only reason on AI they're competitive is we're giving them the chips, we're giving them the education, we're giving them everything. We've built the entire ecosystem of AI.
We can have that
we'll get that for another day.
Yeah.
I
bring you good news on rare earths. I bring you good news on the border, and then you want me to be responsible for everything else.
Border. I need to know this. My border patrol's down there.
Border, man.
I know, but AI. I want humans in those jobs. Anyway, that's great. You're amazing.
All right, brother.
You're amazing.
Humans are there. We just use the AI to enhance.
Bonnie is really taking care of you. Married life is working out for you. It really is. You look amazing. You just don't ever change.
Don't ever change.
You look marvelous.
All right. Well, we got to get you back to your fighting weight.
I am back to my fighting weight.
Maybe that's the problem.
No. I'm not back to my prison weight. I lost 30 pounds there. I should have just kept on with it.
Did you lose 30 pounds?
30 pounds, yeah. Walking every day, working out every day.
Wow.
We'll talk prison. We'll talk prison stories. We'll talk prison stories.
All right, War Room. Let me just say this, Steve. Yeah. War Room, you are blessed to have this guy because nobody else is doing that. And I mean that from the bottom of my heart. And I think he plays all the cold opens just to reinforce the fact that nobody else is doing this stuff. Because it's all BS out there,
we got to get MSNBC. I got to fire these guys up.
I got to get Morning Joe in this chair one day. Would he come in? I don't know.
Mika.
Oh, Mika.
It's Morning Mika. We'll get Mika. No, Stephanie Rule's got the 9 o'clock show. She's my girl. It's a great show. It's a great show. She's got Trump derangement syndrome, but she gets a lot of Wall Street.
Is it true you're going on The View next week?
I get asked all the time. They asked me in The View a couple years. I'm not going to do that. Too much Trump hate. Can't do that. Too much Trump hate. Thank you for coming by.
All right, brother.
Short commercial break. We're going to be back. Dr. Navarro's going back to work, and we're going to get Cleta Mitchell talk about this Save America Act next in the War Room.
Fatherhood is under attack in America. 1 in 4 kids is growing up without a father. We've replaced fathers with bureaucrats, and the results are a disaster for our kids and our country. I'm John Popola, host of Dad Saves America and CEO of Emergent Order Foundation. I like to say Emergent Order Foundation is what it would look like if Warner Brothers and PBS had a baby that actually loved America. We're a studio on a mission to defend the family and to call men back to the responsibility, strength, and sacrifice that fatherhood demands. The family is the last line of defense against a radical agenda that wants to rewrite everything from truth and tradition to gender and God. We're raising a new generation of men, not victims, not activists, but fathers and protectors. Join the mission, support the movement. Visit dsa-rav.com today to take a stand for fatherhood and the American family.
Hi, my name is Tracy L. from Arizona. I don't stink around in the kitchen when it comes to the news. I watch Real America's Voice, which always serves accurate and reliable updates that are on point with their amazing hosts. So don't find yourself in a pickle by tuning into the fake news. Stick with Real America's Voice.
This is Tim King, also known as USS Malik, and I love Real America's Voices for its like-minded programming and the chat. Love you guys.
Florida Sun Goddess here. Let me tell you why I love RAV. They let my voice be heard. They give me a platform for community so I don't feel alone. Thanks so much. God bless.
And hot. Custer's Crow Scouts spotted the village from a distant hilltop. They called Custer up to have a look. Even with a telescope, he was unable to see much more than a white blur on the valley floor. His only concern was that he had already been spotted, that unless he attacked right away, the Indians would split up and flee in so many different bands that he could never stop them.
Custer had never yet encountered an Indian band that wouldn't run when the cavalry attacked. So he pushed to an attack as quickly as it could be mounted. Dreadful mistake on his part because his men were exhausted. He should have bivouacked, given them a night's sleep, sent out some scouts to find out how far that village extends in this direction and that, because much of it was hidden by woods along the Little Bighorn.
He knew nothing of the terrain, could not tell how many Indians awaited him. But it had been a surprise attack that had allowed him to destroy Black Kettle's Cheyenne on the Washita 8 years earlier. A victory here seemed just as likely. Custer hurried toward the Little Bighorn. He saw dust rising over a ridge just ahead of him. The Indians, he thought, were already on the move to escape. It was now or never. Some 40 warriors appeared, then began racing back toward their camp. Custer sent Major Marcus Reno in 3 companies, 140 men in pursuit, promising to support them. The Battle of the Little Bighorn was about to begin. Instead of following Reno into the valley, he had led his 5 companies of 210 men toward a ridge, convinced the Indians were fleeing, and that by charging down into the village from there, he could cut them off.
He sent some of his scouts to go look over the hill. They came back, told him, well, they're still there. So he decided to go look himself. He looked over there, and pretty soon he beat it back. It was all shook up, as they say. You know, my grandfather used to say, Custer looked whiter than ever.
Custer was outnumbered more than 4 to 1, but he led his troops down toward the village, firing as they came. Cheyenne warriors led by lame white man, Hunkpapa Lakota under Gall, and Oglala under Crazy Horse rode out to turn Custer back. Custer's men stopped short, stunned at the sight of hundreds of warriors headed right at them.
It appeared there would be no end to the rushing procession of warriors. They kept going, going, going. I wanted to go too. I had seen other battles in past times. I always liked to watch the men fighting.
The soldiers began a headlong retreat toward the summit of a long, high ridge. Some of the Indians remembered later that the legs of the men and the horses trembled as they scrambled up the slope.
I called to my men, "This is a good day to die. Follow me." As we rushed upon them, the soldiers dismounted to fire, but they did very poor shooting. They held their horses' reins on one arm while they were shooting, but their horses were so frightened that they pulled the men all around. And a great many of their shots went up into the air and did us no harm. Low Dog.
I charged in. A tall, well-built soldier saw me coming. When I rushed him, he threw his rifle at me without shooting. We grabbed each other and wrestled there in the dust and smoke. He hit me with his fists on the jaw and shoulders, then grabbed my long braids with both hands, pulled my face close and tried to bite my nose off. I yelled as loud as I could to scare my enemy, but he would not let go. Finally, I broke free. He drew his pistol. I wrenched it out of his hand and struck him with it 3 or 4 times on the head. Knocked him over, shot him in the head, and fired at his heart. Oh, Hechito, that was a fight, a hard fight, but it was a glorious battle. I enjoyed it. White Bull.
The man was a idiot. Splits his forces, daylight raid, high noon.
An idiot, perhaps, but he had his orders, Mr. President. Drive the Sioux out of the Black Hills onto the ration rolls so that we could get to that damn gold. The Sioux resisted.
Resisted? Bull.
They resisted, General Sherman.
Blocking a roundhouse to the chin is resistance, Henry. Massacring 5 companies of cavalry.
I am not defending their brutality, Mr. President. The Sioux resisted because by the '68 treaty, this land is theirs. And we had no legal...
That treaty was also only supposed to feed them for 4 years. And yet here we are, 8 years later, and you senators are passing $1 million a year appropriation to keep filling their bellies. Why?
To keep them from starving, General.
The shots quit coming from the soldiers. Warriors who had crept close to them began to call out that all the white men were dead. All of the Indians were saying these soldiers went crazy and killed themselves. I do not know. I could not see them, but I believe they did so. Wooden Leg.
I saw several different ones of the soldiers not yet quite dead. The Indians cut off arms or legs or feet of these, the same as was done for the entirely dead. Some of the women mourning for their own dead beat and cut the dead bodies of the white men.
The soldiers, one Lakota remembered, were as good men as ever fought. But the fighting, recalled another, had lasted no longer than a hungry man needed to eat his lunch. In the end, all of the men in Custer's command, 210 of them lay dead. It was the greatest Indian victory of the Plains Wars. 2 Cheyenne women were said to have found Custer's body.
The women pushed the point of a sewing awl into each of his ears, into his head. This was done to improve his hearing, as it seemed he had not heard what our chiefs in the South had said when he smoked the pipe with them. They told him then that if ever afterward he should break that peace promise and should fight the Cheyennes, the everywhere spirit surely would cause him to be killed. I often have wondered if, when I was riding among the dead where he was lying, my pony may have kicked dirt upon his body. Kate Big Head.
150 years ago, Battle of the Little Bighorn. How's it tie to thinking about the birth of the nation? Well, think about it for a second. This happens out in Montana. On the 25th, 26th, 27th, the Army comes up and finds the massacre, finds the bodies. I think the ultimate count was 268 totally killed and about 55 wounded. I think that's one of the rough numbers. What happened between the time they could get to a place that had telegraph to get it back? I think this story is accurate. It might be apocryphal because this was 9/11 of their generation. This was massive. Custer was a major figure. He was also married to one of the most extraordinary women of that time. That was a widow for decades, and made her number one. Her purpose in life was his memory to the American people. General Custer, people know he had come out of West Point. I think he was last in his class. He had gone down to Brooks Brothers upon graduation, just before graduation, and got his kitted out in the finest thing. He had an incredible flair. As a Southerner, he was, fairly obnoxious in the American Civil War. Did a great job at Gettysburg, but at Appomattox, he was one of the guys I think that rode up and got in the face of some of the officers around General Lee and demanded like a surrender a day early. He was very full of himself, but he had been a great commander, cavalry commander, in the Civil War at a time that the Union was really outclassed by Jeb Stuart and the other great leaders of the Southern Cavalry. So he made his name there. And then he had to find a war, and that was the Great War of the Plains Indians. I always say the three military thinkers and strategists that destroyed the Confederacy were Grant, Sherman, and Sheridan. Those same three, one is Grant as president, was Secretary of War first, and then President. Sherman as Secretary of War, and Sheridan as head of the Army, were the same, and kind of the same strategy with the Confederacy, in that you've got to destroy both where these people reside, where they live in their armies. The telegram got, I think it's apocryphal, General Grant as president was in Philadelphia for the July 4th. They had this huge centennial exhibition that was kind of like an expo, World Expo, about all the progress that was being made. They had this huge hand of the Statue of Liberty, the flame, and this was all upbeat. And I believe it was on the podium, and the telegram came in actually on the 4th, and they got it to Sherman, who was also there, and Sherman decided, and Grant, they didn't want to talk about the 4th. It was
I'd like to say this is the first.
Fatherhood is under attack in America. 1 in 4 kids is growing up without a father. We've replaced fathers with bureaucrats, and the results are a disaster for our kids and our country. I'm John Popola, host of Dad Saves America and CEO of Emergent Order Foundation. I like to say Emergent Order Foundation is what it would look like if Warner Brothers and PBS had a baby that actually loved America. We're a studio on a mission to defend the family and to call men back to the responsibility, strength, and sacrifice that fatherhood demands. The family is the last line of defense against a radical agenda that wants to rewrite everything from truth and tradition to gender and God. We're raising a new generation of men, not victims, not activists, but fathers and protectors. Join the mission, support the movement. Visit dsa-rav.com today to take a stand for fatherhood and the American family.
Hi, my name is Tracy L. from Arizona. I don't stink around in the kitchen when it comes to the news. I watch Real America's Voice, which always serves accurate and reliable updates that are on point with their amazing hosts. So don't find yourself in a pickle by tuning into the fake news. Stick with Real America's Voice.
This is Tim King, also known as USS Malik, and I love Real America's Voices for its like-minded programming and the chat. Love you guys.
Florida Sun Goddess here. Let me tell you why I love RAV. They let my voice be heard. They give me a platform for community so I don't feel alone. Thanks so much. God bless.
Hi, I'm Bridgie. And why do I love RAV? Well, even out here in the cornfields of Iowa, I still need news I can depend on. That is Real America's Voice.
Okay, I'm going to do more on Little Bighorn at 5, and also the centennial and the bicentennial, and also where we're coming up on the 250th anniversary of the birth of the nation. All of that, both tonight and tomorrow. Got some very special people on here to talk about all of it. Cleta Mitchell, the Trump movement and the Trump revolution. I don't quite understand what's going on, so you're going to help explain it to me. Mike Johnson, who's just been an unmitigated disaster.
Well, I don't think that's right, Steve.
Well, I like you and reasonable people can disagree. I know you like him. The president's very fond of him, likes him. In the war room, our bottom line is he's an unmitigated disaster. And I think the facts backed it up, but be that as it may. To show you the type of unmitigated disaster is, I'm just saying, he runs up there yesterday, and this after a day where the Senate could not have been ruder to President Trump. This is about the Save America Act. And I want to make sure, particularly the people at the White House that keep giving the president bad information, I want to make sure you understand that you are going to be held responsible. The Save America Act is absolutely central to the motivation of the people that are going to win this election in the House. Senate, that's a different deal, because the Senate has gone out of their way to trash Trump and to treat him as a lame duck. But the House, and I've been the only person out there, having gone around the country, that says, hey, we can serve in the House. Don't believe these 20 or 30 seats. We can hold it. I've seen the grassroots. They will get motivated. You saw in Texas with Paxton. You've seen it in Virginia. You've seen it in other places. We can do this. But they take the lead of the president. Now, for month after month after month after month, we're told that the Save America is absolutely essential from the president. Now, Johnson goes up there, and we're advocates of this housing bill. It's an important bill, but it's not a must-pass by any measure. They're going to use it as a messaging bill. Where Polly Pox will sit there and go, I did something. I did something. That's why he's running around. I did something. Polly Pock is going to skip around that he's got something done. That's why he goes and convinces the president or some of the people around the president. They're shipping the president the bill. Is this correct, Cleta? Help me out here. They're shipping the president the bill today?
Well, I don't know what day, but what I read last night is that the speaker told the press that they would be sending the housing bill to the president. Once they do that, he has 10 days to sign it. And if he doesn't, or veto it, and if he doesn't veto it and does nothing, it becomes law without his signature. What my message is that he has to veto that bill. He caught everybody by surprise and made the MAGA base. I basically burst into tears when I saw that he had canceled the bill signing for that housing bill that was supposed to take place at noon on Wednesday, and he just canceled it.
That was amazing.
I had sent some things around, and it was wonderful. Wonderful. And he needs to stick to it. I'm asking everybody within the sound of my voice to call the White House today, 202-456-1111. Talk to a live operator and say, Mr. President, please veto that bill until the Save America Act is put on your desk. We like that he postponed the signing or canceled the signing, but now he has to stick with it. And these guys in Washington are trying to say that somehow this housing bill is going to motivate the base. Nobody knows about the housing bill, but they know about Save America.
No. And we're big proponents of some of the elements of this housing bill. It's not perfect, but we're a big believer in that it can have great things. But it's not a game changer. Whoever's telling the president it's going to motivate the base to go out there is just, they're dead wrong. They don't know the base and they're not spending time with them. What's going to motivate the base is the Save America Act. Am I correct in that, Cleta Mitchell?
100%. And let me give you the 3 ways the Save America Act could be passed by the Senate. There are 3 ways. Number 1, let's not forget, there's not a single Democrat that has agreed to support the bill. Okay, but here's what needs to happen. The president, John Thune, Mike Johnson need to all say, we're going to go through every bill. We're going to freeze out everything the Democrats want. No more passing of Democrat-sponsored bills. Go through all the appropriation bills, take out all their earmarks for all the Democrats, and take it, and no more judges. You remember, it's really the senators who pick the trial court judges, not the president. And no more judges for Democrats. And if they freeze them out, then maybe he can get 8 Democrats to agree to vote for cloture. They don't even have to vote for the bill, just agree to vote for cloture. That's one way. And they need 8 and then has to get all of his caucus to vote for cloture. That's one way. Here's another way. The speaker puts the Save America Act and Reconciliation 3.0, sends it to the Senate, and John Thune says to the parliamentarian, we're going to overrule your ruling saying it's not germane. And then by a majority vote, the Senate Republicans can overrule the parliamentarian, and the Save America Act can be voted on with 51 votes, put J.D. Vance in the chair, we have 50 votes, and we can be passed with a simple majority. That's a second way. Here's the third way. Have a talking filibuster. John Thune says, all right, we're not going to let anybody leave. We're not going to talk about anything else. We're going to be in 24/7 until we get through the filibuster. And then and they'll either collapse or they'll decide that they can't take it because they only like to work 2.5 days a week. And that's another way to force the filibuster to end, by just exhausting them. Then it can pass by 51 votes. But they've got to do one of those 3 things. And that requires all hands on deck. And it requires, the first thing is the president cannot sign this housing bill, because the only way we're going to get the Democrats to the table is to stop giving them things. And remember, this bill was introduced by Maxine Waters and Elizabeth Warren. Now, they put some lipstick on the original pig. But it isn't a game changer. As you say, if the president will veto it and say, I am serious about this, I am not going to sign your pet projects. I'm not going to appoint any more judges for Democrats. I'm not. And you guys need to get rid of all the Democrats' goodies and find 8 Democrat senators who will agree to vote for cloture. Those are 3 ways that I've thought of. And I'm not a member of the Senate. If I can think of those ways, then I'm sure that these genius senators who are in the leadership ought to be able to figure out how to get this done. But the first step is the president has to be tough. And I'm asking all of MAGA, all the posse, call the White House. Tell the president to vote to veto that bill until the Save America Act is on his desk. We have to do that. We have to do that. 202-456-1111.
About information he's getting, and when Polly Pockets runs up there, and I'm now more, anti-Polly Pockets than ever, is the people at the Freedom Caucus and APM people that are trying to seize the rules and seize the floor and hold the floor, aren't they doing that in the spirit of making sure nothing moves through the House until they force everybody, the institutions here, to do? Explain that to people, because explain what they're doing and try to seize the floor.
Because the House Freedom Caucus said, they had a press conference, they said, look, we have to do some things. We have to show why we, as Republicans, need to hold the majority. We need to codify H.R. 2, which was the immigration bill, to put into federal law the things that the president has been doing, his administration has been doing to stop the infiltration and the invasion of our borders. So H.R. 2, we have to pass the Save America Act. The Senate has to do these things. And what they were saying is we're not going to vote for FISA, we're not going to vote for a rule, we're not going to vote for anything. We're going to block everything until the Senate does what it needs to do, is pass the Save America Act. That's why they killed the rule the other day. That's why they went home. The speaker goes to the White House and says, oh, well, the Senate, the House Freedom Caucus, is there a problem? And then the president hosts, that people have to stop bringing down the rule. No, Ms. President, they're doing what you need them to do. What we need is for Tom Cole, who's the House Committee Chairman on Appropriations, to go through and strip out every last earmark and pet project that they are handing to the Democrats. Do you think Nancy Pelosi would give things to Republicans if the roles were reversed? No.
No.
And our guys are not playing hardball.
Impossible.
They're not playing hardball.
Let me connect some dots here. It's called leverage. China's rare earths, the CCP's rare earth, the Persians on the Straits of Hormuz, the Freedom Caucus and others that are Trump's strongest allies on the rules to basically shut down operations of the House until it's a forcing function to force the Senate as an institution to deal with this. Otherwise, you're just going to get glad-handed, which is where we are. What we need now is a leadership fight in the Senate. We need to garner 27 votes to remove John Thune. I know people, John Thune's a nice guy, president likes him. Hey, that's all fine. But the Save America Act ain't going to get passed until you start playing Smash Mouth. And that's not patting Polly Pockets on the head and letting Polly Pockets. What has Polly Pockets done in this entire time? Oh, the big, beautiful bill, that was passed by other people that put their shoulder to the wheel. And not Polly Pockets. It's a disaster. And now the very people working to get Save America, if they don't want Save America done, they should just tell people. I will tell you, if Save America does, if something is done and they start moving legislation before Save America, I will tell you, and maybe other grassroots leaders will come forward and say, no, that's not the case. I don't see the energy to save the House. Let me be blunt. You've already lost the Senate because of this, or you're going to lose the Senate. And all the money the donors put in. Cleta, where do people go to get all the information you're putting out about this?
Well, follow me on, because I'm going to be posting up a lot of stuff on X, Cleta Mitchell on X. And go to the electionintegritynetwork.org. There's also a big, we should talk about this, Steve. There's another thing that we need people to do. But today, people need to call the White House. 202-456-1111. President Trump, veto the housing bill.
We need the Save America Act. Thank you, ma'am. Appreciate you. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. We got something that motivates the troops. It's called the Save America Act. The president said Elizabeth Mitchell's got a great story up in Daily Signal about this. Trying to get Liz here at 5. Short break.
Hey, just want. Real America's Voice is growing, and now it's all in one place. Introducing the new and improved RAV app, built for access, community, and choice, not paywalls. Here's the key. RAV is still free to watch. No sign-in, no membership required. Your favorite live streams, breaking coverage, and video on demand are all right there. Free, just like always.
For the War Room Posse, we have to be a force multiplier on this. We have to stick the landing.
In the White House, in the Oval Office, you're crushing it, my friend.
And if you want more, the members section is your backstage pass. Get exclusive behind-the-scenes photos and videos, insider moments from the studio and the field, and early access to new content before it goes public. Members can also unlock special experiences like virtual meet and greets, member-only auctions, and select event access, plus commercial-free viewing of certain shows inside the app. It's not just an app, it's a community. Download the RAV app today. Find it in the App Store and Google Play.
When it's breaking, we're moving.
Breaking news.
Breaking news.
News doesn't sleep. At Real America's Voice, we don't get to crash or lose focus. That's why we drink Soldier Fuel to stay ahead of the chaos, because we do this for you.
So good.
Soldier Fuel has no sugar, so no crash.
Now that's a game changer.
Here we go, all of us.
Wow, that's good. I'm fueled up now.
Used by the U.S. military every day. Now available to you.
This is huge.
Built by Patriots for Patriots.
Now it's time for you to do the Soldier Fuel Challenge. Order Soldier Fuel, film yourself cracking one open, and taking the Soldier Fuel Challenge. Upload your video at soldierfuel.com/challenge, and you'll be entered to win a free shipment of Soldier Fuel.
That's what I'm talking about.
Your video could also be featured on air. Just scan the QR code on your screen, or go to soldierfuel.com/challenge to enter. Drink what the RAV hosts drink. Soldier Fuel.
Let's go.
I'm Andy M., and I love Real America's Voice, where my voice counts and your voice counts. That is America's Voice.
Hello, all you Ravagers. I'm Billy Howell, your old buddy Carefree Largo from the chat, and I'm thrilled to be part of the Rav family. When I want to be heard, I use my Real America's Voice.
My name is T.J. Ash from Carbonville, Utah. Real America's Voice lets me express my conservative views without censorship or edit.
So we're waiting on tenterhooks. Today was Bolton's. Bolton pled guilty. I think in October they're going to decide. Judge is going to decide about his prison sentence or not. We'll be all over that. Chad Mizell, former chief of staff over at DOJ, joins us. Chad, two things is number one, these massive Supreme Court decisions, because we envisioned that it might happen today and then they would get out of town. I find it extraordinary that these monumental decisions, particularly one, may happen on the week that's the run-up to the 250th anniversary. In fact, if birthright citizenship goes the wrong way, that could be the moral equivalent of Little Bighorn. Let's talk about that first. I want to talk about Todd Blanche getting the permanent position over there. Walk us through yesterday what happened on these immigration decisions, then birthright citizenship, and then I want to talk about, obviously, the mail-in ballots, the election laws, sir.
That sounds great. Steve, thanks for having me. I think there are two big takeaways from yesterday. The first is that on the law, The Supreme Court said very clearly, the law says what the law says, and we're going to apply the law. In the first big immigration case, the law says you have to be in the United States, arrived in the United States to apply for asylum. That means you can't apply for asylum from Mexico. You can't apply for asylum just because you're waiting in line to get into the United States. Again, the fact that the Supreme Court even had to address the question is a little bit of a shame, because the law is crystal clear on that. The other one, the very status that the Haitians and the Syrians had, temporary protected status. If someone has the ability to stay in the United States for a decade, 2 decades, right, at what point do we stop calling that temporary? So again, the Supreme Court had a common sense legal ruling, but I also think there's like an important political ruling here. And the political ruling is, do not abuse the generosity of the United States. We are the most generous nation in the world when it comes to immigration. The number of immigrants we welcome into our borders every single year is astonishing, completely, particularly if you compare us to all of the other nations in the world. Yet nonetheless, we are still sued left and right. You're still called racist if you oppose any sort of illegal immigration whatsoever. If you're not willing to open up your front door and allow whoever to come through it with open arms, you're all of a sudden a racist. And I think the Supreme Court sent a loud message.
That's not being generous. That's being a sucker. These people hate America, and they hate Americans. More importantly, they hate Americans. This is 100% replacement. This is why the legal immigration is a complete total scam too. Look how nasty, Chad, comment on it. Look how nasty it got between the justices on some of these opinions and the oral arguments, etc. I mean, the three hardcore, I think, judicial Marxists up there couldn't have been meaner and nastier about this entire process, correct?
You're 100% right. And it's because they see this as an existential threat. It's right up there with the Save America Act. If there are illegal aliens who are voting in our election, if there are illegal aliens who are able to give birth to American citizens, all of that is changing the demographics of the United States in a very real way, which is why they're fighting so hard to protect it and why the birthright citizenship case is so important.
Talk to me about what's your assessment on the birthright citizenship. I mean, I'm not feeling great that they had these very positive and obviously by the law decisions on the first wave of the immigration, but then the bifurcated makes me feel, just in my cynical self, that they gave us something that, quite frankly, is not that big a give because it's pretty logical, but it was heroic of them anyway. It's taken us decades to really rule against us on this birthright citizenship. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I'm nervous about it, Steve. I think fundamentally we've lost the view of what citizenship properly is. Citizenship is a privilege, and it is something where you have an allegiance to a particular country. That's why dual citizenship never made a lot of sense to me. How can you have joint allegiances to 2 different countries? What if those countries' interests are ever opposed to each other? And so whenever you're actually thinking about, okay, I'm an American citizen, what does that mean? To whom do I owe an allegiance, right? And so if you have individuals who are coming from Guatemala, Honduras, Mexico, El Salvador, any country in the world, who are coming into the United States illegally, right, violating our laws, they don't owe an allegiance to the United States. And the idea that just by simply having a child in the United States is enough to say, well, that child has an allegiance to the United States. Steve, we've seen that just not fundamentally play out. We know that there are CCP operatives who are coming into the United States to give birth to Chinese nationals and then going back to China. But importantly, that person now has an American passport, right? That is stupid. You're right. This is a suicidal effort on our part. Like, why would we ever do something like that?
Well, given that the court's had common sense when they needed it, how could this possibly go, in your view, how could it possibly go against us?
I think the hard part is that you have to look at the practice of the United States. And until you started talking about this, Steve, until Donald Trump started talking about this on the campaign trail, we had about 100 years where the United States just took this as a given. Again, people were not thinking about the long-term consequences of this, or at least if they were, it was a minority voice and it wasn't really out there. Now it is ingrained in the collective consciousness. This is a bad idea. I think the hard part, the hurdle you have to get over there is is that if for 100 years the United States has been acting a certain way, not because it's dictated by law, to be clear, but they've been nonetheless acting a certain way, it's difficult for the Supreme Court, and I think that there are certain justices on the Supreme Court who are really nervous about upsetting that. And I think that is likely what we're going to see next week.
What about, give me your thoughts on this, on the election issues that the court's going to, I assume now we're going to get, because normally they do it in the morning. I assume now we're going to get these on Monday, and they're going to make a break for the border. The election issues that are before the court.
Yeah, I think these are going to be big ones. We have the mail-in ballots, right? And really the question there is, what does Election Day mean? Does Election Day mean Election Day? Or does Election Day mean what we saw in California, which is, no, ballots can come in days, weeks later, and they can still skew the election, right? Fundamentally, it's about confidence in your elections, Steve. How can we have confidence whenever you have ballots coming in weeks later that are fundamentally changing the result? How can we have confidence whenever states can develop their own rules? So Election Day doesn't mean Election Day, right? How many votes do we need in California in order to sway something? How many votes do we need in Fulton County in order to sway something, right? We have seen this time and time again, and fundamentally what it causes is distrust in the system. That's why the RNC's lawsuit is so important, because we need Election Day to mean Election Day. There's another big case that I want to talk about briefly, and it really is dealing with coordinating between PACs and official campaigns. This is going to be massive. If you look at the amount of money that the GOP has and all of the various PACs who are supporting GOP efforts, it far outweighs what the Democrats have. And so if we can unlock that money in a coordinated way, Steve, we're going to be very well positioned.
And what's the ruling on that you think going to be?
I'm positive. I think that we're going to get a ruling in our favor on that one.
And right now, you believe all those will happen Monday or Tuesday?
That's what I think.
Drag on?
No, I think Monday or Tuesday. They've been releasing about 4 opinions a day. And so if we get 4 or 5 Monday, 4 or 5 Tuesday, that should close us out.
Talk to me about Todd Blanche and the confirmation process here. Are you worried about that?
I'm not worried about it. You know, Todd is a utmost professional. He was a prosecutor in one of the most prestigious U.S. Attorney's office in the entire country. I worked alongside with him the entire time I was at DOJ, sitting in morning meetings with him literally every single day. He follows the law. He's going to do what he needs to do. I think that there was some hesitation from Senate Republicans, which, to be honest, Steve, I don't fully understand, related to compensating victims. I mean, you would think that we would understand as just a matter of justice, that it's not enough to just stop the wrongdoing, but you actually have to undo the wrongdoing. You have to put the victim back in the place they were before you harmed them. So the idea that Senate Republicans are criticizing Todd for wanting to do that is ludicrous to me, and it just shows a lack of backbone. But nonetheless, I think he's got the votes, and I think he's going to do very well.
So you think all this from the Lawfare funding issue, you think that's all been worked through now in the Republican conference and they got these guys on board?
Yeah, I think that's right. I think that that's right. You know, the other camp of folks who I've heard, criticizing Todd are really just the never Trumpers, right? These are people who would claim a higher allegiance to the Constitution. But the irony is, Steve, is that their position actually is contrary to the very Constitution to which they pledge. All right, Justice Scalia, in his famous opinion, Morrison v. Olson, talked about a single executive, and the head of that executive, the president. And that includes the head of DOJ as well, right? In other words, DOJ is not an independent agency that doesn't report up to the president, but rather is subservient to, right, in the constitutional order under the president of the United States. So fundamentally, when people are saying, well, Todd Blanche was Donald Trump's personal lawyer, that's too close of a connection, there's 2 errors there. Error 1 is they're ignoring the Constitution of the United States. And error 2 is, even if you look at who they would claim their heroes to be, George W. Bush, Ronald Reagan, right? George W. Bush picked Gonzalez as his AG. Gonzalez was his general counsel when Bush was in Texas. Ronald Reagan had Ed Meese. Well, Ed Meese was his legal secretary whenever Ronald Reagan was the governor of California. So there is a long history of Republicans choosing as their AG someone with whom they have a prior relationship before they became president. So there's nothing abnormal.
Reagan pick William French Smith at first? Wasn't that his personal lawyer? I think, if I remember correctly.
I don't remember the exact relationship between him and William French Smith.
I think it was like, I think it was like his. If it wasn't his personal lawyer, it was personal lawyer adjacent. I think they were very close. That's why he wanted to have somebody in there. I think Ed Meese came later. Ed, I think, was on the staff, and then, but you're 100% correct. He was part of that posse that came in from California. What the confirmation hearings? They're going to try to slow down, but they're also going to make it. They're going to go. The Democrats are going to go out of their way, and I'm not so sure how much the Republicans are defending him, to try to smear Todd Blanche, right? To try to make it very difficult for him to actually be an effective attorney general for the United States in the Trump administration because of the Trump derangement syndrome. Do you buy into that?
This is going to be the biggest clown show we've probably yet seen from Senate Democrats. They're going to pull out all the stops. It wouldn't surprise me if they fill the courtroom with theatrics, theater. They might even stage a walkout at some point, Steve. I mean, again, these guys were willing to do absolutely anything to make a spectacle, to make a show, and because of their TDS, to do anything they can to oppose Trump.
No, you're 100% correct. We're going to have to be at the ramparts for this one, folks. Just President Trump's got to get an attorney general he feels comfortable with, he can work with. And you're right about the Article 2 powers. Todd, social media, where do people go? Because I know you're going to be giving commentary and analysis about all this, and people are going to want to read it and get it hot off the press. Where do folks go?
Absolutely. You can find me on X at Chad_Mizell, on X at Chad_Mizell. Thanks, Steve.
Chad, thank you. Thank you for making this enlightened. And like I said, I think we're going to have a couple of bumpy days next week. But thank you, sir, for coming in.
Of course. Thanks for having me.
That fight is going to be a massive fight, just like this fight for the Save America Act. Remember, we're going to have Liz Mitchell, Daily Signal. She's got a great piece up on the Signal. I think it just went up about why the Save America Act is so important for the country and why President Trump has been pushing it so hard. We're going to have her up at 5. The housing bill's got a lot of good populist things in it, but the Save America Act will save America or get us down the path of that. Short commercial break. Back in a moment.
We will fight till they're all gone. We rejoice when there's no more. Let's take down the...
They're counting on you to stay silent. They think you want. Real America's Voice is growing, and now it's all in one place. Introducing the new and improved RAV app, built for access, community, and choice, not paywalls. Here's the key. RAV is still free to watch. No sign-in, no membership required. Your favorite live streams, breaking coverage, and video on demand are all right there. Free, just like always.
For the War Room Posse, we have to be a force multiplier on this. We have to stick the landing.
In the White House, in the Oval Office, you're crushing it, my friend.
And if you want more, the members section is your backstage pass. Get exclusive behind-the-scenes photos and videos, insider moments from the studio and the field, and early access to new content before it goes public. Members can also unlock special experiences like virtual meet and greets, member-only auctions, and select event access. Plus, commercial-free viewing of certain shows inside the app. It's not just an app, it's a community. Download the RAV app today. Find it in the App Store and Google Play.
When it's breaking,
we're moving.
Breaking news.
Breaking news.
News doesn't sleep. At Real America's Voice, we don't get to crash or lose focus. That's why we drink Soldier Fuel to stay ahead of the chaos, because we do this for you.
So good.
Soldier Fuel has no sugar, so no crash.
Now that's a game changer.
Here we go, all of us.
Wow, that's good. I'm fueled up now.
Used by the U.S. military every day. Now available to you.
This is huge.
Built by Patriots for Patriots.
Now it's time for you to do the Soldier Fuel Challenge. Order Soldier Fuel, film yourself cracking one open, and taking the Soldier Fuel Challenge. Upload your video at soldierfuel.com/challenge, and you'll be entered to win a free shipment of Soldier Fuel.
That's what I'm talking about.
Your video could also be featured on air. Just scan the QR code on your screen or go to soldierfuel.com/challenge to enter. Drink with the RAV hosts drink. Soldier Fuel.
Let's go.
I'm Andy M., and I love Real America's Voice, where my voice counts and your voice counts. That is America's voice.
Hello, all you Ravagers. I'm Billy Howell, your old buddy Carefree Largo from the chat, and I'm thrilled to be part of the Rav family. When I want to be heard, I use my real America's voice.
My name is TJ Ash from Carbonville, Utah. Real America's Voice lets me express my conservative views without censorship or edit.
I think William French Smith was part of the kitchen cabinet for Reagan. He was a partner at Gibson, Dunn and Crutcher. After they got out of Harvard Law School, went there. And Gibson, Dunn and Crutcher became one of the powerhouse law firms on the West Coast. He became part of the kitchen cabinet for Reagan. And I think President Reagan put him on then as governor, put him on the board of Regents of the University of California, which you know was really led to the rise to power of, as a national figure, Reagan. I think it was his personal lawyer over at Gibson Dunn, or at least one of them, when he nominated for Attorney General. Hello, Ronald Reagan. We're all the Republicans, the people that hold Reagan up, as I do, one of the great men in this country's history. When President Trump wants to do it with the guy that was his lawyer on time. Remember, why was Todd Blanche his lawyer? Because he couldn't get other lawyers. This is one of the most prominent guys at a big law firm that would say yes, and he had to leave his law firm. They basically said, if you're going to represent Trump, or you're out. I felt that. I had some of the top lawyers in the country that came back to me and said, hey, after January 6th, all the corporations are going to leave as clients if we represent Trump or people around Trump. This is about the deplatforming, the de-lawyering, the de-banking, all of it. We all went through it. And guess what? We came through it tougher and harder. Because I don't brook any nonsense for any of them. They're all trying to destroy the country. Wasn't just going to prison that convinced me of that. I knew that well beforehand. So if you want to fight, it's time to fight. Bring it. But you got to get President Trump needs his team, and you got to help him get his team. And Todd's a central part of that. Mike Lindell, you know all about this. One more time, I don't think people got the joke. Dominion now has dropped all they wanted $4 billion from. They wanted to get all the blood out of the stone over at MyPillow. Am I correct in that?
Yeah, they dropped it. They dropped the lawsuit after 5.5 years. My Pillow was being sued for $1.3 billion. My employee-owned company, they had this hanging over their head for that long. It was very, very horrible situation, but they've dropped it now. And I can continue on to say we've got to get to paper ballots, hand counted. All voting machines need to be melted down, turned into prison bars. And I will say this, Steve, I was very happy to see the president re-truth are all about the Dominion dropping the case. But the big thing, the reason he retruthed everybody, because the timing of this is kind of, why did they drop it right now? Because we dropped an 800-page evidence report. It's like a historical library of evidence backed by facts, and it was dropped. You can see it at LindellTV.com. It's front and center there, and the whole country, if anyone ever says to you, there's no evidence of the stolen 2020 election, you just point to it at Lindell TV, everybody, and it's all there. It's backed by over 550 facts that nobody can dispute.
We're gonna push that out. How important to you is getting past the Save America Act, sir?
It's the most important thing right now ever at this point in time. There's nothing more important, everybody. And they say, well, Mike, this doesn't get rid of the machines. What it does, you start taking away pieces of how they steal, of how our elections are stolen. This is the biggest one. If you can't get this one through, everyone in this country, 80% of Democrats and Republicans, even more, want the SAVE Act passed, that we want citizens voting in our election. This is crazy. When you can go up to New York and the socialists, you have to have 2 forms of ID to shovel snow. Yep. I mean, this is the most nonsensical thing in history if this doesn't pass. If this does not pass, it has to pass. There isn't when it will pass. It has to pass, and now.
Has to pass now, and it's also the biggest motivational force for the grassroots. You don't pass it, I'm telling you, they're not going to show up. I've been out there. They'll knock doors, they'll walk precincts, they'll canvass, but if they don't get that, they can't stand John Thune, and they ain't that crazy about Mike Johnson. Talk to us about deals. The audience wants to know, what do you got for us today, Mike? They love you. They love what you're doing for the country, but the bottom line is, show me a deal, sir.
Yeah, you guys, this coincides with this big burden lifted off my pillow's back. And we were attacked box stores, no middleman. It's right from us to you. So we got our Made in the USA sale, celebrating 250 years. Our entrepreneur-led company, our employee-owned company, all of our Made in the USA products are on sale. The lowest prices ever. The King My Pillow, $19.98. The Queen My Pillow, $18.98. The mattress toppers and our Made in the USA mattresses, 50% off. All of it's free shipping right to your front door. We have body pillows, $39.98. You get a free pillowcase with that. Bolster pillows. You got to get there, everybody. Go to mypillow.com/war room and do all your shopping right now. We're going to run this through the weekend, but this could be the last weekday. You should get it now. I'm trying to run it as long as we can here. And you guys, right now, the Made in America cross, there's the cross side where we make them here. We do everything we can make here, we do make here. And this is what they don't like. This is what they're attacking. This is the American dream. You guys get it with the discount using promo code War Room. You save $80 on the My Crosses, the best gifts ever. And you guys call 800-873-1062 and talk to one of my operators. Tell them you got that promo code War Room, and you get discounts on site-wide that other promo codes and other outlets don't get. You guys have had our back, and finally this big burden is lifted off my pillow. I can get over here, run for governor, and not have to worry about my employees, because I know you got their back and they don't have this liability anymore.
Most powerful promo code in the business, mypillow.com, promo code War Room. Go do it today. Mike, we'll see you back here at 5. Get back to work, sir. That company's not going to be taken away from you. It's so magnificent, magnificent, magnificent victory for Mike Lindell and the team at MyPillow. Charlie Kirk show's next. The bowling's going to do a special with John Rich at 4 o'clock our time before War Room. Make sure you see, I think Captain Bannon's going to be there. They're going to be at John Rich's bar. It's going to be fantastic. Another live audience. We might try to slip in at the end and do a changeover. Liz Mitchell is going to join us from Daily Signal about her new article of the importance of Save America for the president. We'll get to all of that. We're going to be on fire, maybe even a little more Little Bighorn. You never know. You just may go there. Birch Gold, they got a special deal for you. Take your phone out and text Bannon, BANNONN 989898. You get no obligation, totally free. All the information from Philip Patrick and the team. Make sure you understand it, why gold has been a hedge for 5,000 years of mankind's history. And most importantly, you get access to a special deal, 1 ounce silver round with a qualifying purchase. Talk to Philip Patrick and the team and do it today. We'll see you back here at 5. Stick around with Rav. The action of Charlie Kirk is about to commence.
I'd like to say this is the first.
Real America's Voice is growing, and now it's all in one place. Introducing the new and improved RAV app, built for access, community, and choice, not paywalls. Here's the key. RAV is still free to watch. No sign-in, no membership required. Your favorite live streams, breaking coverage, and video on demand are all right there. Free, just like always.
For the War Room posse, we have to be a force multiplier on this. We have to stick the landing.
In the White House, in the Oval Office, you're crushing it, my friend.
And if you want more, the members section is your backstage pass. Get exclusive behind-the-scenes photos and videos, insider moments from the studio and the field, and early access to new content before it goes public. Members can also unlock special experiences like virtual meet and greets, member-only auctions, and select